Wilson, Draymond, when we had the 7th pick. I mean, they're all important, but I think the most important draft would be a year where we're picking 1st or 2nd or 3rd or 4th. Those are the, you don't want to miss ever, but the most important decisions you make, I think, are, you don't want to get that wrong. We don't want to get the 28th pick wrong. We don't want to get anything wrong. It's just the difference between signing a max player or a minimum. If you don't get a minimum right, okay, well, that's, minimum contract is 2% of your salaries. I mean, it's literally 2%. If the salary cap's $100 million, and I'm being loose here, and you sign a player for $2 million, that's 2% of your payroll is a minimum player. It's a lot different when you're drafting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. If you miss on that, that's a hard one to recover from. You miss on signing a player that costs 15, 20, 30, that's a different thing to recover from. 28, I don't know what that guy makes, $1.5 million. Yeah, it's an opportunity to get better. Is it change the, it can, like I said, you can, there's been guys that have been drafted there that change the course of a franchise. It does happen, it's rare. We try to do that every year. We hold ourselves to the highest standard that we can. If we don't, then you guys all help us with it. So, is it the most important draft? I think they're all pretty important.
You mentioned being careful about roster spots. Do you think you're drafting 58 for the roster for sure, or is that kind of up in there?
I mean, 58 may provide an option to have a two-way. Now with the two-way contracts, maybe that's another way to add another guy, take another look at a guy. But at that point in the draft, it's 2 minutes between picks. It's happening fast. We'll have already picked someone. Who knows if we get another pick? You know, will we have picked someone else? Will we have done anything else? It's only 2 picks better than somebody that isn't drafted. So, you know, how valuable is it? It's nice to have. So we'll see what kind of who ends up even being available there. It's obvious if you've got 6 or 7 people weighing in to get complete buy-in on one guy is sometimes a little harder because you're looking at players that usually are imperfect. If they had all the tools and checked all the boxes, they wouldn't be there at 28. So you have different opinions. So sometimes it gets to the point where a group is split and they say, well, look, if it's that close, let's go with position. You know, let's go with an area where we need more help or an area of deficiency. Usually it isn't, but it can happen where you're kind of right up against it and you say, all right, well, if it's that close, this is an area where we need it more than another. So that sometimes it happens that way, but I don't often see it go, here's a really good player, we don't really need that position, let's pass on him. Usually our philosophy is you take that guy.
You guys have talked about 16-game players, and I know you always want that, but
the recent late first round and early second round picks, I guess what Kevon and Damian and Jacob and Jordan.
Yeah, so let's see. Well, going back to, you know, obviously Draymond that obviously worked. But you know, Festus I thought was good. He helped us, you know, play and was obviously, you know, had an injury, but I think he was a good pick. You know, Nedovic, you know, probably didn't. Damian's been, you know, he's been injured. He started for us and was helpful. Looney kind of was written off, and obviously, you know, really, to his credit and our coaching staff, developed well and become a big part of our team. Jacob, to be determined. I'm trying to think who else Jordan Bell, yeah, Jordan. I mean, McCaw, you know, they're all different stories, you know. And the point is that maybe you like to get them all right. We try, but I don't think anybody's that good. I don't purport that anybody can get all those right. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the chances of success at that range is pretty low. Doesn't mean you don't. If you get it right, it's a huge payoff. Sometimes it takes time to see if you got it right or not. I think Looney was probably forgotten early, and now, like I said, to his credit, it's become something. Was that a good pick? I guess so. You know, I mean, but again, I think you have to wait a little bit on some of these things to really self-critique, and we do that up in our room. We say, what did we get right or wrong? Sometimes you grade the draft and say, we look back on last year's draft and say, why did we have that guy ranked so high? If we had picked him, we would have been wrong. So it's important to self-regulate on some of that stuff and not be so arrogant to think, well, we're smarter and we're better, and that never, I don't think you don't learn anything from that.
Do you have an idea of how many guys you've had in to work out?